This is the Surly Grognards for June 23rd, 2014. This is Peter Bellman, and as usual, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent. So, tonight we're going to talk about some of our less successful campaigns. Yeah. Let's just put this out there. I am not a perfect game master. The games go wrong for me. It happens. It happens to everybody. It'll happen to everybody at some point. I like to think I'm a pretty good game master at this point, but I know I've got flaws.
Don't we all?
Absolutely. And I've had games that really didn't work over the years. More than I'd like to think.
Yeah, that's. I've played in a few where things just sort of petered out and collapsed in the first few sessions.
Yeah. So I figured we'd talk a little bit about that actually tonight. Honestly, I can think of two campaigns that definitively started out that way. I thought there are two particular games I'm thinking of that I've tried running iterations of in various forms that most of them have failed miserably. For various reasons, and things I've learned from them. And one of them eventually grew into something that actually worked really well. The other, I've sort of given up on at this point. Although I keep threatening to do it again.
Dun dun dun.
Or at least some version of it. Anyways, so I'll start off actually with the one that I keep threatening to. Yeah. So this is back in, I want to say, probably round about 92, 93, round about there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit later than that. It might have been 94, 95. I had a notion for a campaign. This is 92 is when I first had this idea for this campaign. For a D&D campaign. This is, back in the days of second edition AD&D. And, so 3rd Ed hadn't come out yet. And my group, my group didn't really have the people I played with, we liked a bunch of different systems, but we didn't really have one that we liked for fantasy more than second edition AD&D. Now I know you've given what
these were dark days for role playing. Just to let you guys know,
I didn't have a firm enough grasp on hero system yet to feel I could run hero fantasy. And I didn't really have, and I still think GURPS Fantasy is flawed. Which is why the GURPS Fantasy game I'm running right now is very, very special. In that it has a sci-fi campaign smooshed into it. But, so, the game concept I had...
Special, he says.
It's whacktacular, man. Eric's a part of it, he will agree with me.
We had the first couple sessions, and they were silly fun.
I think everybody had a blast.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a game that I don't actually expect to last a long time. Although it could. I'd be happy to run that for a long time, but I fully expect it not to.
Well, everyone's largely playing for comedy factors. So.
Exactly. It's supposed to be a fun, silly game. So, but the game in question that I thought this was a really cool idea for a game, was basically, it's a group of the player characters are all characters who were basically the greatest heroes of their day, and they basically split up because they basically split away into semi-retirement for various reasons because they all got powerful and most of the big evils have been conquered. And so the basic premise is that they're gathered together one time by an old friend who, in this campaign's case, happened to be a very old gold dragon whom they made friends with, who was dying. Because he had stumbled across this giant, literally universe-eating demon.
Dope. Hate it when that happens.
And he basically tried to do something about it, and it kicked his ass. And so, Dragon dying basically tells heroes, okay, I fucked up. I didn't know what I was getting into. There are myths and legends about this thing. It turns out, go seek them out, find a way to stop the demon, and save the world. And so so started out the player characters at very high level, with a boatload of magic and this stuff, and ran campaigns with it. And I have now run this campaign, I think, 4 times at this point, and have not gotten more than 5 or 6 adventures into it. And I think that was the first time. Might have been the second.
Yeah. It sounds like a fun game.
It's a great concept for a game, I think.
Yeah.
And the players in question are people I still play with to this day.
Right.
And it's not like, any of them are bad players. This is not a style of game that they would not, it's not a style of game they wouldn't enjoy. Or I, to this day, am not entirely sure why this game has never kept going anywhere near it. I mean, the group in question, they still joke about, the fact that it is World Eating Demon 3 or 4, whatever it is, campaign 0, player character 0 at this point. Demons 4, player 0. I mean...
Whatever. It's a demon. It'll just it eats worlds.
So at this point, the running joke is that every time that the campaign falls apart, the demon wins, eats the world, and the next time it's another universe where the demon's coming to find them. Oh, multiverse! What can you do?
Everything.
I wish I knew exactly what it was that. I mean, I think the first time it fell apart was just scheduling stuff.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
I'm just not sure why it happened the second and third time. And no, it's definitely 3 at this point. I'm thinking about it. I know it's 3. I'm not sure what happened, and I wish I had more of a good reason for it falling apart. I admit I'm sort of less enthused by the campaign concept to run it these days than I used to be.
Right.
If I was to run it again, I probably would use 4th edition and basically just plonk the player characters in high Paragon tier, probably. And it's 4th ed has really well set up rules for determining what your starting equipment should be for your level and so on and so forth, which I kind of winged.
Right.
For that game, although I thought it worked pretty well. It was interesting seeing the characters actually for that game because they were in 2nd edition, and so. The really interesting thing is that by saying the character started out high level, the interesting thing is that virtually all of them played humans.
Because they started at high level.
Because they could dual class.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So basically, they had X amount of experience points, effectively. And so, so one of them started out as, they said, okay, well, I'm going to my character is one of them actually dual class.
That's right. It was first at the stupid level limits on demi-humans.
Yes, well, so did 2nd ed, but I mean, I always house ruled that. I always house waved.
Yeah.
Everyone house waved that because it was a dumb rule.
It was a dumbass rule.
That's not a good way to balance the races, guys. Which is something people eventually figured out. But yeah, the dual classing thing actually long term is incredibly powerful because, especially once you get good magic, the appropriate magic items, one of the player's characters was, I think, his total, I forgot what level I started them out at, but he ended up being a 7th level fighter, 9th level thief, and still was a 14th level wizard on top of all of that. Because
you're talking crazy amount of levels there.
Actually, surprisingly, that's the experience points he gave up of wizard to get the 9th level thief or whatever level thief and 7th level fighter added up to maybe 1 or 2 levels of wizard.
Oh right, because wizard had such ridiculous.
Well, no, it's even not ignoring that. Once you get to that high, once you get past level 14, you have to remember every level basically doubles the amount of experience you need for the next level.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, oh, I drop a level. This gives me a bajillion experience points to dump into other classes effectively, which is an interesting. It's actually an interesting character building exercise to do it.
Yeah,
You get some really interesting sort of combinations. Now, mind you, it's second edition AD&D, so if you wanted to cast wizard spells, you can't actually wear armor.
No, you could wear Elven Chain
Sorta.
because
You're better off wearing bracers of armor instead.
yeah, absolutely.
Bracer of defense. That's what it is. Yeah.
Because everyone wanted fucking bracers of defense because they were the best.
Well,
The fighter wanted bracers of defense.
Well, no, the fighter wanted heavily enchanted full plate, but
Now, yeah.
that beats it out. But yeah. So we had that. One of the players was the first time one of them was a human dual classed. I want to say it was ranger cleric because you need a cleric.
Right.
One of them was a paladin. Someone went pure mage, if I remember correctly.
For the boomity.
Yeah, well, not the boom. That's the thing, is the mages weren't really going pure boom per se. Because remember, this is second edition. Fighters actually did crazy damage.
That's true. You're right. I was thinking third.
I mean, admittedly, you still had the boom, but you
still had your fireballs and your lightning bolts.
But what you want, as you did in third edition, were the save or die spells.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, fireballs all
Death Ray, that kind of shit.
right, and and honestly, it's like fireballs, for all its iconic goodness, is a surprisingly not that good spell.
It explodes.
Yeah, but Cone of Cold is so much better. It's higher level, but oh my god, it's better.
Yeah, true. Less things are also immune to cold.
Yeah, well, at any rate, so that game just never got off the ground, and I'm not entirely sure why. Actually, I know what part of the problem was honestly, is I had a great hook and a great end game,
But nothing for everything else.
but joining them in a game like that is a lot more work than you'd think.
yeah, I can imagine.
And at the time I was running it, I just wasn't used to running that high power a game. In all honesty, I was more used to running, sort of traditional D&D stuff. And you really have to change things up for that,
For a super epic game, yeah.
I could do it much better these days. Also, I would also expect it to be I would plan on it being not that long a campaign. Like, I wouldn't expect it to go more than, 20 sessions at most, and probably less than that. I'd basically build it to be a short, concise story.
Yeah, I mean, also, D&D for me always seems to work better, below level 10.
For the most part, yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, definitively...
Particularly 3.5.
Oh my god, yes.
3.5 is so much more fun at lower levels. Things are much more better balanced at lower levels. Once you get past, level 6 or 7, things start skewing heavily towards the spellcasters.
If you plan
and by level 10, it's just cast spells or go home.
Honestly, if you're planning on doing a higher level third ed game, if it's based around spellcasters and doing wacky class combinations with spellcasters and such, that could actually be kind of interesting and fun.
Yeah, it could be fun.
But you have to plan for that, or you have to accept the fact that if you're the fighter, you end up being a pack mule.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could do damage, but that's not really what gets things done. And the cleric's almost as good as you are anyways.
Yeah.
And the druid is also almost as good as you are, and can be a giant slavering monster, and have a pet giant slavering monster as well.
Fucking druids, man. No one in any 3.5 campaign I played ever played a druid, because the sort of consensus was, yeah, not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Druids were almost fair until they published the natural caster feat.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can change into a giant slavering monster, but you can't cast spells in the form unless I take this feat.
Yep.
Wait, 1 feat and you can cast... Wait, how is that reasonable? It is not. By the way, I'm human, so I get a free extra feat. I hate you.
I guess I'll take that immediately.
I mean, honestly, what kind of druid doesn't take natural caster once it's available?
Yes.
One who expects the game to be fair and balanced. Shut up, you!
times I was tempted to play a Jordan 3.5. Just do a half-orc Jordan, just do much more of the feral predatory aspect of nature instead of the tree-hugging harmony kind. And yeah, and then I feel bad about myself and roll up a fighter or something.
Yeah.
Or feel bad about myself for wanting to do that and roll up a fighter or something.
All right. The second game that I'm thinking of that utterly and completely failed, and this is more of a catastrophic failure than the World Eating Demon game.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I just looked at the chat and noticed that my friend Peter Shaw, who's one of the players in there, otherwise known as Clark One, is in the chat. Hey, Peter. He mentions personally thinks iterations 2 and 3 failed due to loss of players. Iteration 1, no clue. Iteration 2 definitively failed due to loss of players. Iteration 3, I'm not sure. That was the one with Peter, Joey, Aaron, Luke. No, it was Peter, Joey, Jesse, Aaron, somebody else. I forget who. Might have just been those 4. Anyways. I think we actually eventually gave up on that game and just went back to Champions. So, but the other one that utterly and completely failed, and oh my god, and flail might be the right word. It was a really interesting concept, and it eventually grew into something that actually did pretty well for me. But it was, well, Eric, you've played in one of the variations in this game world of mine, the Drow of Conquer the World.
Oh
game.
yes. That fell apart because Leland really couldn't get around for that.
Right. That's fine.
And that's fine. I can understand that.
But it's that campaign world. It's the campaign world I use for the Shadowland campaign that was on here, that was on the stream.
Right. There you are.
So, but anyway, so the first time I ran this campaign setting, honestly, the campaign setting was based on something Peter Shaw actually was talking about. We were talking about different D&D worlds, and he was talking about one where the bad guys had won, and how the Drow were a good choice for that. And I took the idea and sort of built my own campaign world around it. And I had a really interesting notion for the way the characters would be built and such, which was basically we used their rules in the first edition DMG, and it might be in the second edition DMG also. I'm not positive. That allowed you to build your own classes. And they're really interesting. And so my rule, I wasn't sure. They were notoriously not particularly well balanced with the regular classes. So my theory for it was, okay, in that case, everyone are not allowed to use the base classes. You must build your own class.
Okay.
And then we ran from there. And there are a lot of interesting character builds and such. We got one session in when I realized very quickly that the group I was playing with, some people in the group, and they're all people I love gaming with, they're great gamers, but stylistically, this was the wrong game for that group. We realized after session 1, nope, this is not working. Let's do something.
The system over their knee?
What?
Did they break the system over their
No,
knee?
that wasn't it. It was just tone and style and preferred character type, preferred way to roleplay characters and such was not meshing with the campaign I was trying to run.
Oh, gotcha.
It was the players as a whole for the group were much more lighthearted, and the campaign was a little bit too dark, and it just didn't work out, which is fine. Perfectly valid reason to not actually do that.
Yes.
But that was one of my most colossal failures of a campaign ever, because I don't think we even finished the session.
Wow.
When we realized this is not working. And I said, these are all people I love gaming with. I mean, they're all great gamers, good role players and such. It just was not what they wanted.
I liked the Tuesday Shadowland game, not the one you ran on the stream, but for the Tuesday Night Crew.
Right.
I liked some of the character interactions because it was actually kind of interesting.
I think it's
I liked playing my differently moraled dumbass barbarian.
It's a great game world. I think. Honestly, it's one of the best game worlds I've come up with.
Yeah. Chris's drow priestess who was going to save the drow from themselves, and the rest of us laughing in our face about it.
Will's ex-gladiator, dragonborn fighter, who is also Batman.
Yes. I'm Batman. Also, I'm a dinosaur.
Hannah's, cursed tiefling warlock.
Who was completely full of herself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Leland's character was great too. It's just that
Leland's Fey Pact warlock, a super elf. I can't remember what they're called.
Eladrin.
Thank you. The she.
Yeah.
He was totally a she.
Well, that's sort of how I set the Eladrin up in that campaign.
Yeah, and
which they work really well for.
Yes, and that was, and him and Tarek playing off of one another. And the fact that Tarek couldn't pronounce his name right and kept on calling him Cowbell.
Oh god,
it was like Helendel or something like that.
But I forget.
It was Cowbell.
I've run iterations of that game many times. I've run iterations of that game in 4th Ed at least 4 times now. It is my personal favorite 4th Ed world to run.
It's a good world. I like that world a lot, actually.
So, yeah, those are 2 of my most colossal failures. The Shadowland setting being the first time, oh my god, that didn't work. Honestly, the later runs of it were much improved, and every iteration I've run it has basically been an improvement in terms of the initial setup for it. Basically, I hadn't really firmed up the way the main city I was setting it in Westgate. You remember Westgate?
I remember Westgate.
Ruled by Lady Pridwin, the drought who.
Remember the big discussion about not wanting to go through the sewers because no one wanted to get poo water on them?
Yep. But she didn't exist until the version I ran with you guys on Tuesdays, and she became more fully fleshed. Well, she existed prior to that, but she was never really as developed. I didn't really have a good angle on her personality until that version, until the one I ran. And she didn't fully develop her Veterinary half until the version I ran on stream.
Right.
When I realized that, oh my god, I've actually created Drow Veterinary. Let's run with that. Which makes her an awesome character. But yeah, I mean, Shadowland didn't. No version of it has actually ended particularly well. None of it ended satisfyingly, I should say.
I was amused that you made the Soul Eating Sword sapient in the stream version of the game, where it didn't seem to be in our version of the game. But then again, it was mostly just me arguing with everyone else about whether or not to destroy it. Because obviously you destroy the Soul Eating device. Duh, why are you still using it? Why am I the one arguing for this?
I made it less evil for the stream version.
Okay.
It was not a soul eater in the stream version. It was more vampiric.
Okay.
Which, given who had it originally, makes more sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense actually, because it was some vampire lord, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh yes, it was that was a sword concept that it was the rainbow blade. This blade sort of had a rainbow sheen to it.
Right.
As an aside, the concept of the rainbow blade as a powerful magic sword that was important for the campaign, that actually dates back to the World Eating Demon campaigns, where it was actually Holy Avenger.
Ah. There's something about the rainbow sheen blade that I think there's some mythology I'm not terribly familiar with that I remember reading about that in.
There very likely is, and it probably is.
I want to say Japanese?
Oh, it might be Japanese, you're right.
I want to say Japanese. Because my there aren't a lot of magic swords in African mythology or South American. Japan loves their swords, and I'm not very familiar with their mythology at all, so it makes sense it would be from there.
Right. Well, if any of our listeners know know of any mythology with a rainbowy blade that's actual mythology, let us know. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
Because
I want to say it's Japanese. It sounds like a Japanese thing.
it sounds like it should be a Japanese thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, the way they do make their swords, you could see it actually just happening by accident.
Yes, absolutely. Although it might be Middle Eastern, what with the Damascus steel and all.
Ooh, that could be too. Yes.
Yeah, because those two cultures have tons of common with each other.
Totally. Wait, no, not at all. Oh my god! But yeah, those
yeah.
two. Yeah, I've had other games that have failed, obviously. That just sort of petered out for various reasons.
Yeah, I mean, there was my aborted Shadowrun campaign.
Yeah, that didn't work out for a lot of different reasons.
A lot of different reasons. One, I just really wasn't feeling running a game.
Yep. And that's perfectly reasonable. Also, you were expecting more street-level characters, and
I ended up with, like, professional murder teams. A professional murder team.
I'll point out my character was not actually a combat monster.
No, yours wasn't. Yours is actually about the power level I was expecting.
Now, I'll admit, my character was a professional murder machine, but not in that way.
Not in that way, yes.
Oh, that character was awful.
Yeah, Chris taking one look at the setup and deciding just to walk in guns blazing. So yeah, I can take these gangers, whatever. Boom, 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 boom.
And I'm like, wait, what?
But that page of notes gone.
Just that didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
Actually, the Feng Shui game I ran in stream with you guys didn't last very long either.
Yeah, that I'm not sure exactly what happened with
that.
that.
I know what happened with that. I ran out of steam on it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, yeah, and I'm really not sure where to go with it anymore.
Right.
Like I didn't have a planned plot or anything like that. I was just sort of running along with it, and I was like, yeah, not sure where I'm going with this.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
That happens a lot, actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Most campaigns I've been in, like that's what happens. And now I don't know.
Well, it's one of the drawbacks to my style of game mastering is that if I haven't really
it's not just you. I've seen everyone do it.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying it happens to be one of the drawbacks of my very improvisational style.
Right.
Ooh, we got someone in the chat bringing up the rainbow sword thing. Ryu in the Planeswalking chat says, his Google Foo says, Calibog from Irish mythology was supposed to have a rainbow arc following it when it swung.
Huh. That sounds very Irish.
Yes!
And I'm a little surprised I didn't know that.
I'm actually, Eric, I'm disappointed in you.
You should be. I should have known that. That explains where I know it from.
Yeah, I was thinking it felt Celtic to me for some reason.
And that explains it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure how it went from being a Holy Avenger to a soul-eating sword, but hey.
Well, it didn't have the rainbow sheen in the Tuesday night iteration.
No, it didn't. I added that. You're right. I added that in the,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It went from being a Holy Avenger to a vampiric sword, effectively.
Yes.
How that happened, I'm still not sure. Huh? Yeah, I'm trying to think of other games that I know I've had other games that have completely just fallen apart. Oh, well, yeah, there was the, another D&D game that I ran with Peter and Joey, those guys, where the general conceit was that the players would be playing, everyone had to be good, had to have a good alignment. That was a requirement. It ended up being dubbed the Sickly Sweet campaign. It was hilarious. It didn't last very long, partially because one of the player characters in the very first session slew the campaign arc bad guy.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, well, it happened because I was, See, I was experimenting with an optional critical hit rule that I thought was kind of neat and wanted to see how it worked.
Was this second ed?
The second ed.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And it was basically the way it worked is if you rolled a crit, what you did is you rolled to hit again, and if you crit again, you got to roll to hit again. It was an open-ended crit system.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine. And you basically every time you crit, you got to add you basically just effectively made an additional attack roll. So if you hit, you rolled again. It was only one attack, but you rolled multiple attack rolls to see,
Right.
And so the party showed up and they saw this group of bad guys, and there's a wizard in the back of the hill doing some ritual thing. And the party was supposed to have to fight their way through the bad guys in front while the wizard watched and eventually left. But Matt, who was playing a chaotic good dwarven thief, primarily a sort of a lockpicker and such with a crossbow.
Right.
I think I started like level 3 with a couple of minor magic items, if I remember correctly. And he sort of because one of the item Matt, I think he started with like one magic item. The one he started with is this really neat magical dagger in one of the books. One of the supplements that it had a bunch of different functions, so you could it was like if you pushed, it had little buttons on the hilt that one of them made the blade magical, one of them did something else, one of them revealed like magical lockpicks, and another one basically caused the gem on the end to basically create continual light out and such. And so he strapped it on the bottom of his crossbow with the pommel end out, so you could have it basically like a flashlight in the bottom of a shotgun, effectively.
Okay, makes sense.
Which is a cool little touch. I thought it was neat. Anyways,
yeah.
So he basically stuck around, lined up a shot in the wizard, opened up, and proceeded to crit like 4 or 5 times and slew him in one shot.
Of course.
We played 1 or 2 sessions after that. And yeah,
I've had a few games where it became clear that things weren't working, yet through the general stubbornness of everyone involved, they continue to lurch along in this sort of weird unlife of a game that no one was really enjoying.
Yeah, that happens.
Like 7 or 8 sessions before it eventually fell apart.
I mean, I had several games which just only lasted a few sessions, and they usually wrapped up because they usually ended because either schedule. Most time it's usually scheduling or
scheduling happens.
So I don't really count those.
I do remember one third a D&D game I was in with we had like one game master and 2 players, and no one wanted to roll a cleric, so we decided to try it without a healer. And you can tell how well that went.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, we got 2 sessions that before, let's try something else.
That's probably the right move. The one thing I'd like to say is, as a general rule of thumb, when campaigns fall apart on me, and it happens, as I said.
Yeah.
I try to at least learn something from them. Otherwise, if, for instance, with the World-Eating Demon campaign, I like to think I tried it multiple times to see if I could come up with different ways of running it, see if it could improve it. I might not have succeeded in that yet. I might try it again using 4th Ed at some point, despite the fact that 5th Ed's about to come out. But no, I know 4th Ed better.
Right.
That's the thing, is I know I could run it 4th Ed because I know the system. I don't want to try running that
in a new system, right?
Yeah.
Well, the conceit of the game is that everyone knows the system well and can make high-level characters.
Exactly. That's the big thing. So I might try it with that at some point. I don't know. I'd have to find the right group of players. Admittedly, Peter and Joey definitively have to be in on it because they've been in every version of it. So even if I do it online, I'm going to have to see if I can rope them into playing online with it.
Right.
Because they'd have to be there. It wouldn't be fair to them otherwise if we ever actually able to get it to go and actually get to the point where they face the World-Eating Demon. If some other group did it, it'd just be patently unfair.
Or they had to fight Fantasy Galactus, who looks exactly like normal Galactus, because...
Yeah, you're right. It effectively is Galactus.
Yeah, he's Galactus.
Damn. Now I need a Silver Surfer equivalent.
You could do this. This can be done. It can be done with a sapient iron golem, except instead of iron, it's silver.
I hate you, Eric. You're making me want to do this. I don't have time for this.
I know.
I don't have the energy for this. Anyways, and the big thing was with the Shadowland campaign concept. Every time I've run it, I've made the world better. It's a better designed game world every time. And yeah, I'm genuinely happy with it's one of my favorite game worlds to run. Period. Another game I know that actually sort of fell apart that you were involved in, Eric.
Okay. You'll need to
The Fantasy Hero game.
Oh, yeah.
And I know why that one fell apart.
Because Chris is a bad, bad, bad man.
Well, there are two reasons why they fell apart. Yeah, Chris made another murder machine.
Yes.
In both senses of the word this time.
Yes, and Chris is... Yeah. Chris came to the conclusion at the end of that game. I'm glad that ended when it did, because I was going to die or kill everyone.
Yeah, he would have. That character was either doomed. Well, that character was doomed. Period.
Yeah. Chris made a professional street-level assassin who was really good at his job.
He was really good at his job!
Complete lack of moral compass.
Yep.
Just not there at all. Like, psychopath. He was a psychopath.
Yep.
He was a high-functioning psychopath is what he was.
Terrifying character. Yeah, that was a combination of there were two problems that game had. Two big problems. One,
that tried to mug Will the first time he showed up. I was also playing a bad man.
Yeah, but you were less bad.
Yes, because I had a healthy dose of fear. I took the cowardly thing.
Yes. And some of the chat mentions a hobo killer. No, not a killer hobo. He was a street thug. A gritty thug off the streets who is a remarkably good killer.
You think of him as like a medieval mafia hitman.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
At any rate,
and not like the sexy kind and like the finely tailored suit and the sniper rifle. No, I'm talking about the kind of guy that's with like too many gold chains and a track suit and a 22.
Yeah. At any rate, there are two reasons why the game didn't work. One was the clash of character personality that was a little bit too extreme.
Yes.
Between you and Chris's characters, and Leland and Hannah's characters, and Will's sort of in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we made bad men. And no one else did.
Okay, Kaz apparently linked the thing to a Japanese mythological sword in the chat.
Oh, is this the...
It could be the... apparently it's a... Oh, it's Susanoo's sword.
Oh. And...
So, interesting. Totsuka no Suguri. I'm probably butchering... I know I'm butchering the pronunciation. My apologies to all Japanese speakers. Especially you, Kaz. Yeah, so... Yeah, that game sort of, I think that fell apart because of that, and also because... I know Hannah was having troubles with the system. She wasn't.
It wasn't clicking for her, and that happens. To be fair, it's a very impenetrable system.
Hero system. I love hero system to pieces a lot of way, but it's very hard to teach new players, especially ones who are relatively new to role playing.
Yeah, Hannah wasn't new to role playing at that point, but
she did have a lot of system experience. She had a lot of experience with different systems.
Yeah, that was the problem. She really only knew a couple systems at that point.
And unlike a lot of other people I know who found it fairly easy to learn Hero System, they're either experienced gamers or they are people who are naturally good at math.
Yeah, it's a very math-intensive system.
Um,
And like the way I handled it was I just focused on how the math applied to my character. That was it. I didn't pay attention to anything else.
and that's fine. I'd love to. It's one of those things that I would love to run. I'd love to run that campaign world again because it's an interesting campaign world.
Yeah, I kind of like that campaign world. I promise not to make a horrible bastard next time.
I just need to find
a bastard.
I need to find a system I can run it in.
Yeah.
Because Hero Fantasy is a good system for it, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
I always associate GURPS with sci-fi as the thing. So this whole
no, GURPS is not what system. I wouldn't want to do GURPS Fantasy with it. It's not. I don't know.
I guess you could do one of the many versions of D&D out there.
Maybe I could do it with 4th Ed.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure how I would handle the whole powers of names thing.
Yeah.
It was, as an aside, this was heavily influenced by Ursula K. Le Guin's Wizard of Earthsea stories, because those are freaking awesome. Go read them.
You know, I can't help but I can't hear about anything about the Wizard of Earthsea series without remembering
I hate
the what's the word, the mini series that the Sci-Fi Channel put out years ago. Yeah, and the ad campaign that they ran to advertise it.
Read the books; they're good.
There's a place where the land meets the sea, and to which I had always shout, "It's called the beach."
Well, the whole thing is the books are set in an area, part of the world where they're just a bunch of islands.
Right, and that's cool. I get that.
It was advertised terribly.
The ad campaign was terrible. The miniseries was mediocre at best.
Yep. Yeah, but seriously, the books are really worth reading. Have you read them, Eric?
I have not.
I don't have the second or third. I think I think I have the first one rented somewhere. I'll lend it to you next time I see you.
All right. That's good because I'm about through with the latest Dresden book. I'm gonna have nothing to read soon.
Sweet. Anywho, yeah. So I would definitely say that when you're game mastering or playing, campaigns will fail sometimes.
Yeah, they just fall apart.
Just happens.
Part of the nature of the beast, really.
I wish it didn't, but it does.
And it's best to recognize when it's happening and not force it into this weird sort of unlife. Because I've had that happen more times than I care to count.
Yeah, it's better to wrap things up at some point and and move on to something else. Sometimes the game just doesn't work for a particular group of players, and it's a group, and it can happen to a group of players who play well and game well together and have a lot of fun together. And sometimes it just doesn't work for that group.
Yes,
and it's just that one campaign.
Yeah, and that's seriously, that happens all the time.
And it's not a knock on anybody involved.
Nope.
It's not anyone's fault. It just happens.
Except when it's everybody's fault.
Well, sometimes it's everybody's fault. Yes. And sometimes it's everybody but one person's fault. Though usually it's everybody's fault.
Yeah, usually it's everybody's fault. Usually, if it's one person, it's usually fixable. But yeah, it's usually everybody's fault.
Or nobody's, really.
Or nobody's. It's just nothing clicks.
Yeah. So my best advice for it is try to figure out what went wrong. Learn from that and move on. Try something else. Have fun. And you're gonna fail sometimes. We said when we're talking about the game design episode.
Oh yeah,
we mentioned you're gonna fail.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Learn from what you're doing.
Fail. Learn from your failure. Try again. Fail better. I mean,
this is basic engineering slash scientific theory. Try, fuck up, do it again.
And do it better this time.
Yeah.
Someone in chat asked what books we were talking about. The Wizard of Earthsea books by Ursula K. Le Guin. First off, Ursula K. Le Guin is a phenomenal writer. She's incredible. Her stuff's worth reading. She is a really, really good writer. She's one of my favorite science fiction authors.
And I've been reading the latest Dresden book called Skin Game, which Peter, I think you'd like if you read the rest of the Dresden books.
I've read the first one.
They get a lot better from after the first.
I know, and I keep meaning to. It's one of those things that I've just not gotten around to. It's one of those things like, I know I should read more of them. But
Skin Game is effectively a supernatural heist story.
Yeah, you've told me about that, and...
Yeah, and it's actually pretty damn good, and the problem is it's got so many callbacks to other stories that makes it a little I think it would be a little impenetrable for someone new to the series.
Oh my god, Le Guin wrote more books in Earthsea. I only knew of the first 3.
Oh.
She wrote 3 more, starting in 1990? Crazy. I'll have to check this out. But yeah, she wrote a bunch of really fascinating... she wrote a really fascinating science fiction novel called The Lathe of Heaven, which was made into a very impenetrable movie. I saw the movie and was like, what the I was home late one night, turned on PBS, and they were showing it, and I'm sat there watching going, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. And it was fascinating. I'm still not sure what happened. It was a weird movie. I've read the book since, and the movie makes more sense now, honestly. But, yeah. Seriously, read her books. She's really, really good. But yeah, honestly, I'm trying to think, what are the other games I've run that have sort of, fallen apart? I'm trying to think. It happens so often that it's hard for me to keep track of all of them.
Yeah, and the ones that fall apart are quickly usually get consigned to the memory dump, where they're not important, so move on.
Yeah, basically, I will just I'll pick what bits of things I can learn from them, file that away, and forget the rest of the game. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've run several abortive supers campaigns over the years that got nowhere. Most of them using GURP supers because I don't like GURP. It turns out I don't like GURP supers. It's not bad. It's just that it's not that I don't like GURP supers. It's after I played a few sessions of Champions, Hero System. I'm like,
right.
This is just better for running a superhero game. Why am I running? Right. Yeah. Got it. Done. Buy GURP supers. The problem with GURP supers is it's a little too lethal out of the box.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You don't feel super enough.
Oh, no, you feel super. Just only for a little while. Because eventually, you're gonna die. Actually, that's a really funny thing, is the first edition of GURP Supers was deeply flawed. The problem was that the way it worked, attack powers were so much more expensive than defense powers, that while you could build up attack powers that could kill a normal person, if you use it on a superhero, your odds of actually doing anything to them were basically non-existent. And
I wonder how Hannah's GURP Supers game is going to go.
It'll go pretty well because because I've seen how all characters are designed.
Right.
It'll work out.
None of us made really unkillable juggernauts, except for you, and you've got enough flaws that you're not going to be a juggernaut. You're just unkillable.
And I'm not. It's not that I'm not beatable. I'm just not killable. There's a difference.
Right. All they need to do is give you a hangover, and you'll be curled in the fetal position, weeping.
Well, I can't get a hangover, Eric. I'm immune to poison.
Oh, right.
Alcohol doesn't do anything to my character.
No. That hangover hangnail, that's what I was looking for.
Oh, that'll suck. Yeah, I'm a yeah. Anyway, so I definitely would say, just learn from your mistakes, move on. Honestly, you really should just. Campaigns are going to fail, as we said. It happens,
Yeah.
and it's always unfortunate when it does. And as a game master, especially if it's something you've been working on and it's a world you've created and it falls apart, God, that could be crushing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, save the campaign world in the background for another try some other time, maybe.
Yeah, and most of the time, on the rare occasion where I run a game, it's usually just because I run out of gas for Game Master. I do not have endurance for long-term Game Mastering, it turns out.
Yeah, that's fine. Not everybody does. I get distracted a little bit too easily.
That's part of my problem, is like, ooh, new shiny fur to obsess over.
For me, it's like my problem is that I keep coming with new campaign ideas. Like, ooh, I could run this. Wait, I'm running like 5 games already. What the fuck am I doing? Ah! That's why I've been consciously which is why I consciously cut back at one point.
Yes.
And why I'm taking a break right now on Saturdays.
Yeah.
I'm still running the bi-weekly thing with you, and
yeah, and yeah, I started feeling the burnout coming, so that's why I beseeched other people to run on.
And honestly, the one I'm running with you is such a lightweight game that it's not much stress.
Then you pretty much know which way we're going to jump and that we're going to do ridiculous things, because that's what we do.
Yeah, and that's fine. And the Thursday game, I've had a long break on Thursdays because of the D&D game Peter Shaw's been running. So
shit, I forgot you were running the Thursday game too. Jesus Christ, man! No wonder you needed to break on Saturdays.
Well, the problem with Saturdays is I've been running 3 games in rotation for a little while now, and I'm like I'm sort of going, hey, what game am I doing? What plots are going on? What's happening? How many NPCs? And oh my god, thud.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to figure out what to do about Saturdays. I'm running too many games on Saturday. The 3-game rotation's not working.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I've decided is the 3-game rotation is not working. I need to decide what I'm going to do about it. Anywho,
moving on.
That is going to do it for this week. Again, and that's a great example of I'm going to have to axe one of those 3 games, I think. And I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. And it's going to hurt.
It's going to suck, because everyone's got their favorite game.
Yeah. But I will learn from it. The first thing I will learn from it is running 3 games.
3 games in rotation.
3 games in rotation on Saturdays does not work. That was stupid, Peter. What were you thinking?
I'm a little surprised you went for it, but hey, I got to play a little Lion King, so I'm happy.
Peter Shaw in the chat says 3-game rotation sounds like an awesome plan with 3 game masters.
That actually doesn't sound like a bad plan.
No, that's a good idea.
That's a really good idea, because everyone can keep track of their own shit. Yeah.
Honestly, 2 games in rotation, I'm okay with that. I've done that. But yeah, anywho, that's going to be it for this week. Normally we save time at the end of each show for viewer questions. We had some from last week that we didn't save time for because I'm an idiot. So we'll punt them to next week because I'm an idiot.
We'll also forget to save time at the end.
Because we're idiots. There's a theme here,
We are unsmart. We are totally all about professionalism here, guys.
Absolutely. But we do try to save time.
It's basically just us ranting at one another, me through a haze of alcohol.
Yeah. So, yeah. But if you do have questions you'd like us to answer on the show, we do try to save time on the show. So send them to us. We've got an email address. Also, if you've got feedback for us, constructive criticism, whatever, or show topic suggestions, we love those. We really, really, really love those guys. Please send them to us.
Seriously.
It means that, we'll actually, if we get good show topic suggestions, we might actually plan ahead of time. We've done it a few times.
We have. And it frightened us. I was scared.
We've done it more than once.
I don't believe you.
Oh, we've done it more than once, several times.
No,
Definitely.
no, lies and slander.
Anyways, but if you want to get in contact with us, we have an email address. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com. SURLYGROGNARDS at yahoo.com. Or you can find us on our forums, which you can find at mechagm.forumer.com. And you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @mechagm. Keep an eye on my Twitter if you want to know when the show is going live, or if we're going to have to delay the show or anything like that. Occasionally we have to take weeks off for various reasons. Like, I'm sick, Eric's busy, or dinosaurs are rampaging through downtown Boston. That hasn't happened
Only
yet.
happened once, though.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, but keep it on my Twitter if you want to keep an eye out for that sort of thing. Also, when I go live for various other things I do on my stream. We record the show every Monday at 7 p.m., usually, Eastern, here on twitch.tv/mechagm. And I put the recordings up on YouTube now, and you can find them all archived on my blog, which you can find at mechagm.blogspot.com. I talk good. That's it for this week, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
He's is done.
Awesome. So, until next time, be happy, be safe, keep on gaming, guys, and we'll see you guys then.